What do you think we're seeing?
The detritus of a coming war.
Tenet is the culmination of decades of exploration of time by filmmaker Christopher Nolan. Informed by his previous films, where he used the manipulation of time in a metaphorical and structural way as a means to design the story, Nolan embraces this with Tenet, but in a physical way, where it is not only the audience but the characters themselves that have to deal with the complexity of time. Christopher Nolan creates a world with a set of rules and physics, and within that framework he devises a plot, knowing where he wants to end and what it needs to happen to get to that ending. He takes the ingredients of the spy film that allows for international travel and gives us access to all kinds of extraordinary situations to create a unique concept with an added science fiction component, allowing audiences to experience the genre in a fresh way.
What'll happen here?
Hasn't happened yet.
Christopher Nolan takes a closed-loop approach for the time travel or inversion logic in the movie, in a similar fashion like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, where we experience the same events but from a different perspective.
Coming out the back door.
In Tenet, we revisit various scenes and relive the action, but now through the point of view of the characters moving backward through time. As Neil says, what's happened, happened, meaning that the events can't be changed.
That part is a little dramatic.
Tenet's design is comprised of elements grounded in reality. An acrostic, a thermodynamics concept, a military tactic, and a paradox. From the SATOR or ROTAS square, Nolan designs the location for the opening scene, the name of the villain and his construction company, the name of a forger, and of course, the organization and title of the movie. Christopher Nolan adds layers of meaning by intertwining these elements. For example, he interrelates the word Tenet with the temporal pincer movement that plays out in the climax of the film, where 10 minutes meet 10 minutes. Or how the SATOR square's words can be considered as a visual representation of entropy and inversion, echoing the way we experience the scenes moving forward and backward in time. But by having these many elements working together so tightly, Nolan has to make some compromises in two major components. The first one being characters. And I'm not talking about backstory, that is not the issue here, but the extensive number of factors that become mandatory so the characters can traverse the path that Nolan mapped out for them. For example, to connect the protagonist with SATOR, Nolan introduces Catherine Barton, serving the role of the love interest and in several occasions as the main motivation for the protagonist. But here is where it gets a little convoluted. In order for that to work, a number of conditions need to be met. She needs to be an estranged wife. That way her motivation is to get away from her husband. But to make that an impediment, she needs to be under his control. So Nolan gives her a fault on her backstory, where she had an affair and sold a forged Goya drawing to SATOR. And finally, Nolan adds a son to the picture so she doesn't try to escape, and thus raising the stakes for her at the same time. On the other hand, the protagonist has to get the drawing to get Kat's help. They could use their resources and skills to get Kat and her son away from SATOR, but instead they go for, you know. Now, SATOR has to have the drawing inside a Freeport, take it away before the characters break in, and also have a turnstile in the same place for the characters to find. That is what the plot actually needed. The protagonist has to develop feelings for Kat as well, so SATOR can later use her as leverage. Because as we saw at the beginning of the movie, the protagonist would rather die than give up information. Without the cat, the story just wouldn't work. As you can see, the situations and circumstances of the characters are carefully designed to force them into taking a very specific path. Conversely, leaving little to no room for characters to have a say on their choices. And that brings us to the second compromise: dialogue. Given the complexity of the world, the rules and the scenes, most of the dialogue is relegated to an expository role, where characters explain things to each other and therefore to us, the audience. Since there is so much information to be delivered, the dialogue tells, and there's no much leeway for subtext. But Nolan knows this, and here is where Nolan the director steps in and uses different techniques to hide the exposition by making it entertaining. Whenever something needs to be explained, Nolan overlaps dialogue with action. The characters are moving, they are walking, they are traveling, they are getting ready for battle. There's always something else happening. This helps keep the pace of the film while making the information digestible and just a lot more fun to watch. What Christopher Nolan achieved with Tenet is remarkable, to put it lightly. He managed to create an elaborate and intricate story within a fascinating world and deliver it with artistic and technical mastery. The film's existence today would be unthinkable if it wasn't for over 20 years of an artist's fascination with time. It is audacious as it is unprecedented. It may not be a perfect film, and some might not even like it, but we can't deny the genius of Tenet. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and consider subscribing to see more of this content. Let me know down in the comments what amazed you the most about Tenet, and I'll see you on the next video.